Lo san tabi shabla sowa. Mime zebe dejen chenre. Time kembe wangbo jambe. Kebo mali jomze sanwe. Kanjen kebe zojen. Lo san tabi shabla sowa de pande zabe lama rimbo. Tazo jivuru pende densho. Kadin shimbe pone cheso. Kusun toje mudu zedo. Pande zawe lama rimbo. Tazo nyingara pende densho. Kadin shimbe pone cheso. Chodan temu mudu zedo. Panden zawe lama rimbo. Tazo nyingara benden denjo. Kadi shimbe kone. Chanjo nyingbe bad denbar. Anjo masan jume shera paruj. Maje manga namge mogo. Sozo ramre yishe juyo. Tuson jeve. Sanze lo dea ta. Gade gade para sanga. Bode ye so ha. Dea ta. Gade para sanga. Bode ye so ha. Dea ta. Gade para sanga. Bode ye so ha. Gire tongda jajo shewa. Mede nebe jendang jewa da. Temba joje Tashi denye. Yo sa shimbe ye. Jo je me yando. Ta ya ri ya ra ya li je. Dagi shujurun jiben zonam jen dola beje sanjen dola shio sanje shena zoje shonam la shanjo bado dane jazo je dagi shi dola beje sanje dola shio sanje shena zoje shonam la shanjo bado dane jazo je Dagi shiji jive sonam je rola benje sanje rola shio simji samji soji lana mewa yanda zobe sanje kongwa zhiba jini tawa je tishi de sembe shio sanje kunu chanji se jima se je se dan sembe shisi. Let me remind all of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate bodhicitta motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings.
And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta motivation, we should participate in this discourse. So where we left off in this commentary, we are dealing with the distinction between what we called Shravakas and Patika Buddhas, and the Mahayanis in terms of realizing emptiness. So in Mahayana, as we talked about, many more extensive reasonings are given to be able to do the propping into the ultimate reality and understand emptiness, which is not available in the discourses of Shravakas and Patika Buddhas. Geshe-la's explanation pertains to what you find between the page 138 and 139. Those who have this English translation of the commentary called The Profound Reality of Interdependence there. So as Geshe explained, if both what are called practitioners of the Hinayanas, which include Sharvakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, and Mahayanis, must realize emptiness in order to attain nirvana and enlightenment, then what difference is there among them, isn't it? Both are required to realize the emptiness to achieve their goal. Wouldn't they be same in that sense? That's kind of question. So in response to that, as Geshe explained, that in the discourses of Hinayana, emptiness is taught, but briefly, with, if you will, limited reasonings. Whereas in the Mahayana discourses, emptiness is taught or dealt with numerous what we call reasonings and analysis. And so that's a big difference, because if you apply a lot of reasonings to be able to prop up reality, when you understand the reality, you have what we call this deep ascertainment of the reality, isn't it? So the mind is, you can pick and choose any object or a basis, focus on meditation. Then you use many different reasonings, right, to be able to analyze that phenomenon and try to understand emptiness. So when you use a lot of reasonings and analysis and prop into that reality, when you understand it, that understanding is very deep and profound, right, ascertainment, Whereas if you use like a limited reasoning, like one reasoning to understand emptiness, it is possible, right, by using one reasoning to realize emptiness, but then your understanding or ascertainment is not going to be as, how should I say, as firm as the one you gain through different reasonings. And the example Geshe has given is like, say, if we are talking about any particular topic or issue, and if we provide one reason, and maybe based upon that, people can understand what the issue is, isn't it? But if you give many more reasons, then somehow your understanding is more, can we say, sharpened or like clarified and affirmed, right? That's called ngeba, right? Affirmed it very deeply. So that's a big difference there.
What did it go? Because Tonda Tigina, Tonda Tig Shiguya, Tig Yuzu Momotion, any Niva Shao Dry, or what did you get? But Jitty didn't chicken that only don't do. Young Tenji going to die, any ways Momo some of them, any Niva Shusha do this, or the Ribbon number Tayeva citizen, Ribbon Momo Sigura.
So in other words, I think the Tibetan word ngeba I translated as affirmed ascertainment, or it is the conviction, right? And your conviction would be much more deepened and affirmed through using multiple reasonings rather than just stick to only one reasoning. As Geshe explained that by using a particular reasoning, say the reasoning of singularity and plurality, sometimes we call it the reasoning of oneness and difference, isn't it? Chitudet. Yes, you can realize emptiness. But now if you use other reasons like reasoning of dependent arising, pratitsamutpat, right, to reflect emptiness, then you use some other reasonings, right, to be able to do that, then your conviction in realizing and understanding that emptiness is going to be different. It's going to be affirmed more.
What is it? Because 我觉得就是某个生活当中，你也把些路的，现在里边那个他也把些这个的，他考虑，这对的，那他是叫个问题是，如果某某生活当中，像就是这生活当中，就是某某人也把些路是吧？我这里，现在，如果老结了，他也不多过日子，你让这用这帮我头他说的。 Today, Bello gave a shira go over, don't you don't do it, devotion. Ripa do you go, don't you don't, any Dajima told to worry, so this or that.
No. So, in other words, that Sharvakas and particular Buddhas, their goal is to be free from samsara, right, nirvana. And so they know that if you realize emptiness based upon one reasoning analysis, so that's good enough, right? That realization, if you further it, it can take to your nirvana. Whereas for the Mahayanists, the goal is different, as we know, enlightenment for the sake of everybody. And so when you use numerous reasonings, like such as reasoning of dependent arising, Tyndale, Pratyeksamutpat, or such as the reasoning of oneness and difference, GSTDL, or singularity and multiplicity, the same different translation, or the reasoning of refuting the four modes of production, and so forth, then the conviction you gain in understanding and realizing the emptiness is very different.
They made donuts, go with the colonial lodge of Jolas. Take you there. Mamma, you know, you never done Begunshi. She may hit a boy, Chedi, hit a boy, Che, the Konani, here, go, you were go. Gone, so go Vicheros. Or did but you don't take the reward do line. They did the Taigosiado, Ribo Momotan. She did the Ribo Momo does and Loshu share do this. Loshu share enjoy and he the Pongalia never share do this. This is what I got it.
So on top of page 139, it says that the Sharvakas and particular Buddhas, hearers and solitary realizers, their goal is to be able to achieve their respective nirvana from samsara, and in order to be able to get there, they have to get rid of afflictive emotions or kleshas or delusions, nyonmong only. And then they know that based upon whatever limited reasoning provided in their discourses, they can use that to realize emptiness, further it, and then they get there, right? Whereas Mahayanists, their goal is not just your like freedom from samsara, but you're seeking enlightenment for the sake of everybody. So it's not enough to get rid of afflictive emotions, kleshya. You really need to also get rid of cognitive obscuration or shidi, right? We call it obstruction to omniscient knowledge. And for that, so we need more powerful, how should I say, fully empowered understanding of emptiness. I want to put it that way. And this is where using many reasonings really provide you that full capacity to understand emptiness, and that is powerful to be able to deal with cognitive obscuration. So they can do that with any one phenomenon or reality. I mean, often we use the word sprout, right? And so you can say sprout is emptiness because it's dependent arising. Now you can change the reasoning many times. So you use dependent arising to realize the emptiness of a sprout. And then you use the reasoning of oneness and difference to understand the emptiness of sprout. Then you use the reasoning of refuting four modes of production to realize that. So through this reasoning analysis, your mental power to realize emptiness is, how should I say, evolved to the T. And so that becomes very powerful mind, wisdom to uproot cognitive obscuration.
知道有时候我的是什么？一般呢，马上也南线是没这么风筝呢。你让他把学习到没到不他，弟弟你这写完没得的，原来送到到我风筝的，怎么没都写的呢？写让这些，让你送我去了通知一，到把风筝讲，写把电子风筝嘛。送把的，你们现在老送去，娘就那么事的，写送我的没，电子写的都得没写呢，你就不做了，我是你是在干嘛的？听我说句，看啥的？公家到我们这话什么要把送把说。刚的这些没知道，确实因为也没些写说也，做不个告诉说是你让他们学习，当面到把送把跑生也讲，这些的写法当，现在光把他都听就有。你讲，怕是你这让有的这话，明个厕所写不，日本那些的写法小我觉得，看啥，真的，他的，你让学习他们都没写的，那长东这个的干的，挺就路了，听不说话都是东西就把切要么是，现在。你让东西都要么是长东这个人现在的重要嘛的是，你看是那上几个学生呀的个看是呢，你这300倍，搞到偏头300的都么都是，我们那就么都是没，刚刚这个送过嘛是吧？现在搞家伙，现在挺有路的了，你让把为东西么子还得，这些也看那个嘛的说的。
So the issues or the argumentation that we have been dealing with are something contained in the auto commentary to the Sublimated Middle Way by Acharya Chandrakirti and then the other texts. So now we are moving to the second subpoint. The caption reads, I hope Geshe doesn't think I'm translating it wrong, because it says, how Tsongkhapa resolves disputes in his explanation of the introduction to the middle way, right? I didn't hear him say that, but anyway, so that's the point we're dealing with. So again, the point of contention is this, that Shervakas and particular Buddhas, they do not realize selflessness of a phenomenon, isn't it? But from Prasangika point of view, that statement is not a definitive statement. That is what we call interpretive statement, right? Probationary statement. Because according to Prasangikas, regardless of which vehicles or yanas you follow, Sharvaka yan, Patika Buddha yan, Mahayan, right? If you want to realize your spiritual goal destination, everybody must realize emptiness, right? So it's the same. And so that kind of statement made elsewhere for Prasangika is not a definitive statement. It requires interpretation in there. As Geshe explained, so why we have all these different discourses is because Buddha, couldn't teach, realities, in only one possible way for everybody, right? Because we have so many mental dispositions and capacities. And so even though the realities we are dealing with, in the same, but you have to be guided to that very skillfully. So therefore, taking into account different mental dispositions, inclinations, and capacities, so Buddha taught different things, right? This is how we also have different schools of thought, right? Prasangika.
我现在真的，帕金一路现在呢，真的 rig se rigor se rig the jolun se jo rig here the hin se here the in Tibetan somga pakpa donyi do song xia xie de ti song xia xie de in donyi do go res in the kap ka lia di chunga di du je ong in the song de ma do in the da de ni ran donyi do yo ma se ya di in the chang dong de res ti se de yo yo ma res da do de tin se
No, sir. So the bottom line is this, as Geshe said, that so in a text where there is explanation about the rig is the lineage or the Buddha nature or the Buddha seed, we translate in different ways, right? So we can confuse everybody. In Tibetan it's rig. Now we have too many words in English. And so there is what we call Rangshin Neri, naturally abiding Buddha lineage or Buddha seed or Buddha nature, right? That's there. And from Pasangika point of view, that is same for everybody, and everybody must realize that, right, in order to actualize your goals. But then we say, why did Buddha say these other things? You know, as if Sharvakas and Paticca Buddhas do not need to realize selflessness of phenomena. But for Pasangika, that is under given circumstances and taking into account their inclination and status wherever they are. This is what Buddha said, but that is not a definitive statement. That's not, in other words, not the final word, you know.
这的些吧，我这东东嘞，这东东嘞，你那个去的没到吧的，你们他们没一边南下，说天有诶，他们没一边，对不对？开发他大的，也是开发他的。本地大车吧，你的，你养这个，光把这个，如果写吧，写送说是，或者你早的那点子可是，东都个什么意思？看着什么听呢？你让谁一点到我约我的了？你们现在可是你们。你都他们没因为南下说天就他们没因为，除非开发他的开发他的，因为把人的话你光把这个意思，我这里送下是我的说的。
给你点时光嘛，可是送不给，光把这原可是送不给。
那。
养殖送人家光嘛是查查。
这，他的，你说听把送个拍拍东西都外国的。你希望拉到把人到这吧，你个公我几把认识，我就东都了送下去了，其实我们东都有了吧？对。
So we are on to top of page 140, and so from Prasangika perspective, that Sharvakas and Paticca Buddhas must realize emptiness, or we can also say the selflessness of phenomena, to realize their goals. And so this has been asserted by great Indian Acharya Master Chandrakirti. And what he has said, you know, it really, how should I say, syncs with what Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva has said in the Bodhisattva Char Avatar, Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life. And so there is this agreement, you know, between these great masters that Sharvakas and Paticca Buddhas must realize emptiness, just like you know, to realize their goal. And so all of this have been kind of mentioned by Kyuru Rinpoche in his work called Exposition here. Yeah.
我这在你国他的结完之后，个可是，但是东都别上面写的，就是写的，大车写个，在外边个。东西他读的东西大约过去了呀，大差不多，如果写完了你我把这把历史写一下，现在提手上提决定应对呀，但是你写完之后再写意思，我的这个是。
Awesome. So here the commentator, the author says that because he has found that Kyrio Rinpoche in his commentary called Exposition, just brief to be, but it's a long title in Tibetan, and affirmed that both Chandrakirti and Bodhisattva Shantideva agree that Sharvakas and Padika Buddhas must realize emptiness to achieve their goals. So because of that, he said, I explain a little bit more here about this particular, how should I say, a point or the issue.
What is the Hesong so young kid, teaching motto, no Heso songs. The teacher got up Jung Sig Win. You do the teaching come member. Jibzu young Chigede Dodo sauce Maduda Lamshin Yawa Tonjida Tejan Sanje Sumende Rishita Dawa Shesum Tone Teaching Dodo Sanje Gamayente Denu Song the Madivisher Rishita Tawata Rishi Tadage Rishi Tadag Tushiva Sunga Tushiva Nua Neva so Devatava so Mala Tijele the Shiva dealing to that. Teaching the no the Karim to the Karasa, the insurable receive a danger the Chiva Reshas. Receive a danger to the career. Any sense of a citizen, Dogum Shiva Sigurata, Dogum Shiva, in the Casa, two Shiva, the Wata song Yas. Or teaching guy and all the teacher song Yas, receive a danger to Chiva Reshas, got teaching the no the the Sanje Tin the new initiated to the commission to teaching Sanje Gamaris, you didn't know the receive a digit on his what I has to do.
In the Niendo Teba Lai, the Chirama, the
You don't deposit Chirama, you don't
deposit the Kasawara, 10 minutes on the
Yama, Timmy Power, the young Timmy Dudama, Nikarawa.
Just trying to get it clarified on this Tibetan term, which seems very instrumental, I thought, and it is. So Geshe explanation pertains to what you find in the middle of page 140 there. Now, relatedly, as the author said, I'm going to deal with this a little more, so that is related to what we called establishing Mahayana discourses as Buddha's teachings or Buddha's word. We call Tekjen Karu. It's a huge section there. So the Vaibhashyakas and Sautrantikas, because I was getting clarified on that, we Tibetans call Nyendo Deva. So don't translate them as Hinayanis say, because that's different, right? Hinayanis and those, the followers of Vaibhashyaka, we have to make a distinction. This is very important. I double checked with Geshe. So Vaibhashyakas and Sautrantikas said that we cannot accept Mahayana teaching as Buddha's word. Why? Now they give you many reasons here. One, they say that, well, because Mahayana teaching is not included in the three baskets, Tripitikas, that we know of, right? Mahayana teaching has so many things that are what we find in the Vedas. Footnote: Vedas are the Hindu literature, right? Right. He said, for example, in this non-Buddhist Vedas, they talk about how through ablution, taking bath, and through fasting, you can purify negativities, right? That's what the Mahayanas are saying. So that's what the Vedas said, So that's why it's not Buddha's word or a teaching.
Oh, the other teacher guys say yes, I'm a Mudu, we have a true just the new need they are two cases inside, because the same was the 생제와 투시와 세야들 투출 누고 세야들 어디 싫으면 해다지와래 캐스트세요. 다디 랜드 가르세나 대리는 택저선이 가인데 다음에 라서 받아봐서 다음에 간사라게 되면 다음에 된 거 다음에 때마다 군조성이 다음 가서 당이 제 군조성이 당이 제 도저 로메 티바시 다 군조 선제도 군조 연대도 막베 너 인도에 티바나 요디 택신 되노래 ini chidama da nyendu de kele ya denu tido tema na shi ini kujo yo de den shas no she omanyimbo le sum omanyimbo no lingden je ka tije ka to da do de yin je omanyimbo she ini joju shi de tije chongma bo yo ro o tije ka to se tije ka bi ju de ro de ini joja de ju da ti ga ngal ini namji 인도에 그런 스케일이야 그게 랑도 나셔서 강가 티신 되는 데도 제가 아니 가지 버려서다.
So I think, as we know, in Buddhism we do Nyungne practice, right, fasting. So that's why they are pinpointing. They say, you know what, in the Vedas, you know, they do this too. They say they purify negativity. Now Mahayanas are saying the same thing. Fasting will do that. And then the ablution will do that. Kisharajin said, but in the footnote, this is to do with the tantric empowerments, right? We take it. That's a footnote close. That's my word. And so in response to that, what they have said, responses will include that more than we will say right now. That, you know, Mahayana teachings are, you know, Buddha's teachings or the words because, you know, they teach selflessness. You know, the selflessness that all Buddhists accept, which is the selflessness of self-sufficient and substantially existent self, right? That kind of selflessness is taught in the Mahayana teachings, you know, which you already accepted, Vaibhashikas and Sautrantikas, you know. And so in your discourses, there's a lot of explanation or description of Buddha's qualities, like the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and their qualities. Exactly in the Mahayana discourses, right, they talk about the qualities of the three jewels. You know, that's why it is, you know, Buddha's teaching. So establishing Mahayana as Buddha's word or the teaching, as we said, is a very huge topic and dealt with in many texts, but some of the most prominent works are, if you want to know more about those things, is Baba Viveka's Umanyingbo, the essence of the middle way, right? It deals with that. And Dodetian, Ornament of Mahayana Sutra, Mahayana Sutra Alankara, that's what it says. And then the Chunju, Bodhisattva Avatar, Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life. So in this, we'll find, you know, how should I say, reasonings establishing Mahayana discourses at Buddha's words.
da maye ba member du ju tang tele len de ju che jung si che de he wa ta ta do du shi de jung si ma he na yin de ba ta na de ti me san ye ka ma ti chen san ye ka ma de te lung gu ta ba he je de lung gu ta ba nyang de ma se song yo ba o yo ge ji ge ta de ju wa mi ge ta ba de ma de ji na Taba he jiwa is the Lungu Yang Dagmarsia Shero.
No.
She said, did a year do this? Lungu Taba he did you get those? Six years. Shows him then the daughter. The Yibu Guna Chavata, the Yibu Sanji Rixer. Did 팀에서 가지고 타도 되고 숨도 두게야 니도 양에 가서 타면 양대 타면 상지 고모 토야요 말이 생기거로 와 어디 타도 되고 숨도 두게지 어디 겨와지
타도 되고 되게 양년대 되고
요 타도 되고 숨 타도 되고 너데바다 지라마도 타도 되고 숨 You does about thousand and young done river you do. So she has a young baby, Mamma, it's 7 Rosa. So that you do it about the Raja, think about it about how to race you.
I don't know.
Koto didn't
I let her say, no. So we are on top of page 141. I mean, there are more kind of reasons they put forward why they think Mahayana is not Buddha's word or teaching. And so they said another reason is that in the Mahayana discourse, it is stated that Sambhoga Kaya, complete enjoyment body or complete resource body, is permanent, and so that's why it is not acceptable there, because in the Mahayana they said Sambhoga Kaya will never die, right? So they said that's a permanent, The Sambhoga Kaya is really not accepted as not undergoing a momentary disintegration impermanent, right? So they didn't know about that because they think you said Sambhoga Kaya never dies, so you said it's a permanent, so therefore that cannot be Buddha's discourse there. The another reason this is that there's mention of bodhisattvas kind of migrating or advancing from happy to happier states, like that. And then there's a mention of Kam Deshe Nyingbo, Tathagata Garbha, the essence of Tathagata. So that's not acceptable because Vaibhashikas and Southern Turkers, they believe in 3 final vehicles kind of thing, right? They think that their own nirvana is final, right? When you attain the nirvana, the mind or the consciousness completely stops. Then there's nothing else, right? Because they cannot say that once you attain nirvana, now after that you are going to go to Buddhahood. No, because consciousness completely, right, becomes non-existent, right? So they said our nirvana is a final destination, final yana here, right? So Pratika Buddhas or solitary realizers the same thing. Our nirvana is the final destination. So they believe in their own as final destinations, whereas in the Mahayana discourses we talk about 3 vehicles, but there is one final destination, which would be the Buddhahood, right? Yeah.
What is the Lunguti Takwa? Says the Lunguti because without it, so do you say, do you tell you without saying so or what did the Yedo do? Says the Lungutakwa says, the Tenzin Dorjee said, did it go? Yunchi Marsi Lover Mother, getting you want to see Omara, the Shina, Kuranta, Suba Yonor, the Takwas, the Jigimel Shashan, says a Lungu Jigames and the visitor and Metava says, oh, you do it at the gate of those. Says the Lugutawa Regmar, said the next Sigmund, Sanjay, Chidong Mooney, the Sigmund, those said that the Sanjay somewhere is over that.
No, sir. So, for example, in the case of Sambhoga Kaya or complete enjoyment body, research body as permanent, they thought in Mahayana. And she said that contradicts Buddha's other teachings because Buddha talked about the 4 seals of characterizing Buddha Dharma. The first one is that all conditioned phenomena are impermanent or all produced phenomena impermanent, right? And so how can you say that complete enjoyment body never dies? Looks like that's a permanent. So that's not acceptable, right? That contradicts the thing, that earlier statement that all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. But the Mahayana says that, when we say that the complete enjoyment body, we don't mean permanent in the sense of it does not change from moment to moment, right? It exists perpetually, right? The continuity is permanent. We are not saying that it does not undergo any change, And so this is the one issue they're dealing with.
Song did the Jelot Samba, Kato Song Mother, or Tiganga in the because the Takwa said, getting me, get up at the Mars. Katu coordination, he worry. Said that the Lungu, because the Takwa said, Jeva Jimmy, Shagri Mother, getting Jimmy with Shagmari, says that the Ganga in a karsa sanji kari so this word kaji.
So the Mahayanists are saying that Buddha taught different things in different contexts, different situations, according to the mental dispositions, capacity of different people. So you have to look within the context, right? And so where in the Mahayana it said that Sambhoga Kaya, or the complete enjoyment body, it never dies, right? But it did not say that it's a permanent in the sense of it does not undergo any changes. It's an impermanent body, And so the context matters, right? So that's they're pointing out.
No, the here teaching come mind doana la mena do del minju shunyi dengi sheda kadu jeva potage madi vi sheda deva joji bo kange yang kong bedo vi shero hena o this goda teaching come mind kare se duan mare do de na medu shunyi dengi ro dos kadu shidu and the teaching God di duris in the God shiag the Geshe Medus God the Babo Yamaris Adi Devashi Karsa Depa Jojibo Kongayang Kongso Medovishis. That is, you do the cross and you do Deva Joji Sajuara or the Soji Sungaga Kozu Hakoya the Moto Kozu Hamo the Soji Sung killing Omarva. What is it?
So in the middle of page 141, they give another reason why they couldn't accept Mahayana as Buddha's word or teaching, because they said, in the Tripitikas, 3 baskets of discourses, Vinaya Pitaka, basket of ethics, moral discipline, Sutra Pitaka, baskets of discourses, and Abhidhamma Pitaka, the basket of knowledge. We do not find, right, the Mahayana teachings in that. And moreover, Mahayana discourses have no such what we call Kadu means the one who initiated, like the collecting the Tripitikas, right? In the Tripitikas, that's the one somebody who initiated the Vinaya Pitaka, everything, right? The one who collector, we call it literally, the one who collects all the Vinaya teachings, right? The collector. In English, it sounds so weird, collector. Looks like a tax collector or something. But that's not there in the Mahayana. So therefore, Mahayana teaching is not acceptable to us. Because they said, whatever Buddha taught, we know it, what's right. Because we have 18 different sort of subsects here. And so we have never heard Mahayana teaching, And it's not part of the Tripitikas. And so you don't have just like we have the collectors of the Tripitikas. You don't have even, collectors of Tripitikas. Right. Yes.
What is that teaching the Mudu, Nega Sharia Maris, Karas, and you do the look of Machine, Deva Jogiti, Gaga, no, do the Mudu, Deva Jogi Sharawa.
No,
Deva Jogi, the Ganga, do the Shudi Gaga, Sanji so marvelous. No, do the Mira, do the Jiva Marvas, Ganga. Do the Jiva in the Jogi Kiga Yamarva. She said, do the Mira, you the Jogi, Deva Jogi, the Ganga, and the Gaga. Chiba Mari, she said, do the Mira, in the Sanji so Maivatas. No, do the Chiba Remindo us. What is your?
So then the one reason in response to their cause is said that just because there are differences in discourses between your discourses, right, of the Buddha and our discourse of Buddha, you just cannot make a case that Buddha's Mahayana discourses are not Buddha's discourses. If these differences alone is good enough to say you reject them, then you said, what about you have 18 denominations in yourself, right? And so you have a lot of disagreements too, If you have an agreement, you don't need 18 sects, 18 denominations, right? You could all agree. Why did you split up into 18? Because you have disagreements, So now are you going to reject each other because you don't agree with each other, right? So that's one rebuttal. Yes.
No, you made the teaching. Dinshito be dodel jokes. The much dodel joke. Nimu doa, no, doa, nimu ponga to the son doa race. Tenzin Dorjee the Mingyu, Tenzin Songa, and dodel the ganga. That the Hindu, the new Tebe, and the Jewish Ganga teaching Shantideva to us. So that in the Hindu to get Saji Kara, said that the teaching the Sanjika in Guri. And the good Geshe to us, so Jibari do so this order.
So, in response to their contentions, here the Mahayanas are saying that actually, Mahayanas accept, in the Mahayana discourses, Buddha talk about the Four Noble Truths. So comparable to what you talk about Four Noble Truths in your discourses, there are parallel things Buddha talked about, right? And so that's to do with the basket of discourses, So in the Mahayana, all kinds of practice antidotes are provided to uproot and to counteract delusions, just like you have in your discourses. That is the Vinaya, right? In order to subdue your mind and get rid of delusion, that's what the Vinaya means, Okay? And Mahayana talks about dependent arising, Patisamutpat, right, which parallels to the basket of knowledge, that you talk about. So, all the subjects you said Buddha taught and you accepted, they're exactly the same subjects in the Mahayana discourse Buddha talked about, right? And so they are parallel to that. Then this should be acceptable to you,
Oh, dear. Says a Jujata Shashina, or today you did. Teaching didn't do that, you do didn't do that. Then you long to the Chibari house. Said the teacher, son, you got this teacher. That never told you to Sheba the Shadil, so you can give it the new the Jimmy, so teacher, so Namya Mambo Jewish. Teacher got me when you here, land the or in the Devajogi and Dokayela, teaching Dora to Georgia Mambo Danshas. Said the Devajogi and Nose to get Sanjay Soina. In the teaching, there's Sanjay so in Grace, Korkas Georgia Jigwari to us, or this order.
So Mahayanas are continuing to tell them that in terms of the subject matters, right, what you already accept, right, those are also taught in the Mahayana discourses, and there can be some disagreements, as you already have 18 sects and denominations, you are disagreeing with each other, right? That's okay. That doesn't invalidate, that all of them are not teachings or the words of the Buddha.
So, because remember, today teaching got member Minjuro, here song so young teaching got mind, dual men and the del Minju. She the give said the God do Shiva Mungo says, and the teaching got Tanda Nindo didn't do Kadushuga to do your marty. And the Shantideva Dorjee and because Jambayana in the Shonju Samatu got do your race. So the God do as you worry, they got to sing your race. You see, Mrs. Tizzy got to show you do go worry. Shonju Samatu do your race. This got that.
So we are in the middle of page 141, still there, and so one of the points that Vaibhashikas and Sautrantikas pointed out why Mahayana teaching is not acceptable to them as Buddha's word or teaching is because they said they are not in our Tripitikas, three baskets. We have compilers of the Tripitikas. I said collectors, right? The same word, but you don't have it. Now Mahayana said, what? Yes, we have compilers of discourses, such as Vajrapani, Manjushri, other Bodhisattvas. The Tripitikas of Mahayana don't need to collect need to be compiled by Vaibhashikars and Sautrantika, you people, right? No, they didn't say you people. That sounds like belittling. You don't have to, compile them. We have compilers, bodhisattvas, who did that, And so it's not done exactly like your Tripitaka compilation, but we still have compilers of Mahayana discourses. So Manjushri, Vajrapani, and other bodhisattvas.
Denu dinde liya ene tiki gasi gorda kanje kundu sam karsa jingme rine to so tijin gi sanum so gi namja mangbo jome shers o timi denu dile na liya ene changju sam de higu giro dire je dire tibashi ulagi namja mangbo she khas no so she de she kha in ko ti ka ma yi rigmar was o ti sigorja.
And another reason the mind say, what, in many of your discourses, you consider as discourses of Sharvakas, Patika Buddhas, there's a lot of mention of Bodhisattva paths and the grounds, by the Buddha. So now are you going to reject all of them, right, from your discourses, But the Buddha said, right, those Bodhisattva, paths and grounds in your discourses too.
Yang teaching gamen tele true dance sungdawa da nyuwa neba sheba da shedawa shetaji toni mawa da rajama namla meba da kimbala shashawa da ba da sanje lejang chansula ngakpa so Chakpadan kya mangdu toba so chirtikjin dyudo tokiwe she so she na chume di stiri da karsa sanje linga wale shenju siba tsa shikirsi nga dora sungo rwa tena chu shiwa tiri tsangra chudin shi na dikwa sayar se songya cho ti chik she o ti che dawa jikwa ris rajomba la mwa tansi Dajama Bodhisattva Shangju Saba Le Thambo Dajama Hills drink is ever. Kimbala Shasha Tomba dance. And the Shangju Saba Papa to Kimba Shangju Saba Chasi non degrees to Doyana to do all this story.
Shangju Saba.
Oh, Kimbag. Kimba Papa today in a Karsa Shangju Saba and the Suzu did a chat dinner.
Kimba Papa did
you corner denu those story.
I'll consider Papa Nedeki because a change Samba the later Boba Chas and Degree.
Papa Suzu chat is not no Yomara. In a Shangju Saba does getting this or
no. I'll pronounce one of yours. We are on page 142 there. Remember some of the other issues they raised earlier, why they couldn't accept Mahayana as Buddha's word or teaching is because they said, just like in the Vedas, my footnote in the Hindu Vedas, right, where there's mention of bathing and fasting, purifying your bad karmas, right? So Mahayana said the same thing. So that's like not Buddha's word, that's Vedas, non-Buddhists talk about that. That's not acceptable to us, And then also you talk about reciting mantras and, that kind of purifies negativities. And then you talk about emptiness, which they considered as a nihilism, absence of complete existence. So in your teaching, there is a nihilist philosophy, emptiness. Nothing exists at all, right? That's not Buddha. Right? They point that out. And then you said in your teachings, there's mention of how even an arahat is belittled. Even the arahat has to respect an ordinary, real bodhisattva. How can it be? An arahat bow down to the ordinary one? That cannot be Buddha's teaching. So Mahayana has strange things like that, they say, so because, in Mahayana they said it, because this is to do with the power of bodhicitta, isn't it? If you are a real bodhisattva, you could still be an ordinary person, But then, I mean, even in their discourse, it's mentioned that their Arya, the one who has realized ultimate reality, right, a transcendental being, they should respect the ordinary person who is a real Bodhisattva. They said, how can it be? That's ordinary and this is realized, that's not acceptable to it. Then also in your teaching, there are weird things like how, Bodhisattvas are praised more than the Buddhas. They said, oh, Bodhisattvas are very important, more than the Buddha himself, right? So that cannot be Buddha's word.
송다 들어와서 그런 로그 특이 그 최시야디 뇌 모는 거 들었다기 르 마주와서 모는 거기 애니 출출잖아 대디와사야 들려 요리스 애니 송도 도나 거디 땡이지 또 이들 배우 연구 리스코 들 싫어봐 지고 말이스 또비서는 애니 예벨레스다 마샤 나베 이집이 너무 용을 예벨레스 그러 어디래 다루어리 세다 되게 강가에 인도 되는 시험이 강가 되게 되는 퉁도 없어. 세다 저런 인도 되는 게 상유성 참아게 된 거라. 엔티나 이게 되게 가도 돼야 상유성 참아게 된 거리스. 그래서 그 유자 송도를 비직 말해도 어디서
예벨레 지송서 가서
라
예벨레 걸
예벨레서는 됐어. 레페는 중국에서 상왔어다. 그 마샤 샤샤나 이 그 남이베 이집이 제공을 저러와 어떨 예벨레스
네 언제까지 네 다도 그랬어
라 데 니모터비 사나 다가요 그랬어 그 마샤 나는 그 남이 용국으로 와 샤샤 남이 용국 말했어 다 니버 미거이나
니도 슝나래 다가 셔되나
가다 강가 니바 다요 그랬어 내가 네 추시보다 드려 다그 말해서 추시는 다그래서 내가 가던 다그래서 내가 티젠에서 드려 다그 말이 싫어 깨자리서 나와 어디 지체야 말해서 드려 그 추기도 다들 왜 모는 거 것이야도다 그 때리는 그 펜도 요르면서 다가 추기고 네가 다 쓰고 말해서 어디 내가도
단데 개념부터 시고는 예벨레 다루고선 택명 슈나를 셔되나
마티제도 추기는 네가 다그 세야스 다 택명 코너스는 추기는 네가 다그 말해서
알라롱디 하고스게 다는 마다 녀부터 시고는 샤나게 예벨레야 다그래라 버와 택명 받고 라고 택명 슈나를 라고
라
택명 슈나
제가 녀부터 예벨레 다그래서야 돼 팀이다 가자 and diva meta chia yo mar tijin song and diva thagir se adi and dashi ke bare diva meta yo maris ye bele se de ji ma sha 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 ko na mi nyong ko ge na ko tha do ya na in daga de le jungu ja su ma sa de na tha do ro asang sa tha do res ganga sang ge de tha do se song ja su
de ko ine ta de song sa de 택면 다 택전 니가 나올 수 있어요.
다 근데 소지 드려 송도 와서 티제부터 팀에 파스 거리다.
아니 계란 슝나 드려 송도 와서.
어디가 저런 드려 세우서 와서 어디.
Some of those instrumental things I must make sure I get it, otherwise the case seems to be getting. So they pointed a lot of those fallacies, kind of thing, from their point of view, right? Just like Vedas say, you take a bath and then your karma is clean. Mahayanas are saying the same thing. Now the Mahayanas' response is that we are not saying that just taking your regular shower, you are going to purify the bad karma. But that has some, things like, for example, sometimes through ritual, when you do that, and by the power of a particular naga who made that prayer, right? That to the help of that naga's blessing, or by the power of some dependent arising, then that you are able to purify some karma. That's what we're talking about. Not like a regular taking a bath is going to do, like Vedas or somewhere they might have mentioned that. And then in terms of reciting dharani or mantras, where we said that works is because reciting mantra involves really samadhi, absorption, isn't it? So that power of the meditative stabilization is what is doing it, And so that's what we are talking about here. And then also, they pointed out that in your discourses, Buddha talked about that if you apply the 4 powerful antidotes, right, the 4 powers usually we call it, right, any kind of negative karma can be purified, even if it is what we call the le ngeba, right, definitive karma or, certain karma. So I asked Geshe, could you explain that? What does it mean? The definitive or the certain karma means that, the karma, has 3 aspects, right? The jorva is the motivation, and the ngushe is the actual karma, and then the conclusion. So you have done everything from A to Z, 100% right. So that karma, good or bad, is called, we usually call full-fledged karma, right? Definitive karma. Because if that karma, in the case of negative one, if you don't purify it, it will surely bring the result out, Even that kind of a karma can be purified through the application of 4 powerful antidotes, so Buddha talked about that, Yes. So in the case of where in the Mahayana discourse it's mentioned, the Bodhisattvas are praised more than an enlightened being or a Buddha, and there is a reason, right? Buddha does not think without any reasons there. Because Bodhisattvas are in the process of becoming enlightened beings. It's like Bodhisattvas are the cause, materials that can evolve into Buddhahood, right? So for that reason, to cherish the Bodhisattva, that particular quality, the bodhicitta, right, all of that, so Buddha said that, and not for many other reasons. So Buddha is not simply buttering up the Bodhisattvas and, something like that. That's not there. An example given is Chandakirti in his supplement with Middle Way, Madhyamak Avatar. There's mention of, Geshe quoted from his line because he memorized it, that we respect the waxing moon, isn't it? Because that waxing moon is going to be full moon at the end. So it's not like you're, instead of kind of respecting the full moon, which is only the result outcome, so you respect the waxing moon because that evolves into the full moon. So like that, Buddha is already Buddha, but the Bodhisattvas are in the process of becoming Buddhas. These are the waxing moon who become the full moon enlightened being, So that's why Buddha said, cherish them, they're important.
Well, dear, that in the because Chongju Simba be later more like and the Chimba Papa to the shots because a day shot several sales or to go your day carrot party mother in the shot sale Muka Marijuana Maris. Could you did your name to the shots is all this or 2 shots teaching dollar song show the Ganga $2 Medusa and be so you come Maris didn't go to Maris. You did ring Maris, so this is
So and then in the Mahayana, as they pointed out, that even a lay Arya, should, respect an ordinary Bodhisattva, and because there's a reason behind that, right? The ordinary Bodhisattva has this incredible bodhicitta, the attitude that they don't have it, and so that's why Buddha said, they could, if, want to respect, that's okay, because they have a bodhicitta, right? So because you do not find what Buddha taught, many of the things in the Mahayana, in your own discourses, that cannot be a reason to reject, all of this as not Buddha's words or teachings.
Oh, yeah, that again, talking about le sungba sungbe tong de wa yin shi zhe da xian bu xian de xian mo so ni yuan na le do zhe ji ba wo so di kong zhou de yin se de现在的都跟把就是提前搞着一把送下去，现在第我们住在项目前年呢，还是住在项目呢送下，现在今年最有人的带钱为小的时候在空着的。
So in the middle of page 142, so that's mentioned. So these issues have been talked about a little bit more here, and based upon the Jaimya Shepa's great exposition of philosophical system. So which also took into account what is stated in the Blaze of Reasoning, Tokirabhava. Because Tokirabhava, Blaze of Reasoning, this treatise extensively deal with this issue, right? Mahayana as a Buddha's word.
매시 꾸안데 인도 대바 차베 신도도 팀이 되다 뭐 거기 인지 인도 상주 통도 예외에서 인도 팀발 샤베스 팀면에 팀면 람슈 다에 많이 됐을 때 인도도 그사다 까멜레스야 티제 까멜레 인도 세야지 단다 인도 좋다마 세고 디게자 싫어마 너데바 디게자 뭐지 인도랑 택발 라면 쇼딩에 디게자 말이죠.
So at the bottom of page 142, so there's clarification, if you will, it's mentioned that here we're talking about how, certain, how should I say, because the Buddhists do not accept Mahayana as Buddha's word or the teaching, but this refers to the followers of lower Buddhist schools of thought or tenets, i.e. Vaibhashikas and Sautrantikas, right? We should not understand as if all the Hinayanis reject Mahayana teaching. Hinayanis who have entered into their path, right, to follow, we're not saying that they all don't accept Mahayana as Buddha's teaching. We are saying from philosophical standpoint, Vaibhashikas and Sautrantikas, they take an issue with that, So that's a clarification offered.
돈이 도배 티진도 되는 깔데바 마도 마세 돈이 동양 콘시바 있는 다 인도에 남은 쇼동이 되게 인도에 대발 쇼되게 되게 돈이 캐리면 뭐 돈이 도가 요레스 다다디 인도 캐면서 인도 루다 마츠거다 티버쇼 캐면서 어디지 돈이 도배 티진도 나 깔데바 마세 돈이 동양 콘시바 이노 줄라마르 초보기 예바데베 시고니 티제카도 제징 도데지 카도지 루 산딜레다 데데 야시 송라 루트 링데소 링데 토미쿠시 남지 쇼네야雄当呀，中的人说的呀，最近各种家境中原些，我把小那我是的，这个吧，这熊猫的提前各种种下，现在提前各种种下的，我把小不认识，这我把小不呀，可是提前干嘛？现在老多小不下着我了哇，我这个现在这我把小不认识，这是个谁？
So on top of page 143, bottom page 142 to top 143, so as Geshe explained, that we need to make a distinction between, the followers of Vaibhashika and Sautrantika schools of thought, right? These are Buddhist schools of thought, versus, those who have entered into the paths of Sharvakas and Pratika Buddhas. They are different, right? They're not on the same thing. Because among those who have entered into the paths of Sharvakas and Pratika Buddhas, there are those who have realized emptiness already, right? And so they're not going to reject that. So this is, so in the sublime continuum, which is the Uttara Tantra, Gyulama in Tibetan, and the Buddha talks about how, one has to be very vigilant and careful about, not creating what we call the karma of abandoning Dharma, which is a very, very serious, karma, saying like this is not Buddha's teaching, which is the real one. This is like, shouldn't be doing that. So it's not only in that, in the Mahayana Sutra Alankara, Ornament of Mahayana Sutra also talks about that. So this, topic that we have talked about quite a bit today, establishing Mahayana as Buddha's word, teaching as Buddha's word, is a very important topic, right? Because if we don't understand this thing, then we might end up, creating the karma of abandoning Dharma, right? And to prevent, creating such a serious negative karma, so establishing, Mahayana discourse as Buddha's discourses is very, very important.
Lord, Karza, Gyulama Lese, Shung Yevatembe, Sigone, Tenzin Dorjee, Zejing, Dodejin, Dorjee, Kato, Gilu, Tadele, Tada Geshe Sungba, Geshe Sungba, Lujo, Lingdeji, Tome Guji Namji, Shungnayang, Junju Di So, Tenzin Kato Geshe Jung, Gubasha Namu, Rishi Yile Sevane, Heso Yusumne, they led the new Mayukun Jung, Tamji, non Seva Yizo Sema Sune, Dole, Dungi, Kujung, Kuyo, Papi Demba Kayena, Seva Juanjin, Gay Deja the Java, Tedam Tele, Ngomba Gaye, Ngangujin, Deta, Debe Siva, Sibe Siva, Jigbe Siva, Oki, Sungse, Tisi La, Ti. Siva Layam Jung Shiva, Shiva Nangjuji Shiva Paji, Sixoji, Mohbana, Mohba Tata Deve, you Siva Somshe, Yana, Naman Dorte, Shimani, Taja, you Tival, Mediva Siva, the Yumube, you Madon, Pitendu, Siva Demba Jaro. Del date soji ti yo atende de deo tomduji dusida da de cherbe sisi dungen dordiye dordiye ye dordiye jixi somos o jixi da daxi da sibasdan de tinre Siva Siva Koa Kessadi, Koa Delia, Dusi, the Gixis, Jigual Joyatine Donald, any young Deodogoyatine Donation, and Duja, Shidamenta, Siva Kigris, lay the Yumu Yigan, and so the Yumu the race water. Yumu in the layman, I lay Savasado race. You may not lay your call, lay you go later Marwa. To them you to Marwa. Said the later you yigan, you saw it. Lay the pavement to the winds this water.
And you more Nanglon and Saber the Zoe.
La,
you led and you more Yigan and you more so, you more Nanglon, Saber the Zoe.
This would that late little Coaco doing you. Let the Sivani de Jungorua. But in the Zoka Sivadesi. Sivadi, layman, lay Savasani, Jodoruwa. That lay Yuna, Nimomena, 레지고 그 저요 말 다시 뭐 레포버디 저인지 저 렌도 말와 시다 레드 이모니 나한테 간도 배 톤도 쉐어스 인 시바도 도고요 그래서
So we are on page 143 still. What Geshe read and explained is the middle section, but something from the top one where, as we are concluding in some sense, the section, I hope it's concluding, the section on establishing Mahayana discourse as Buddha's word. And so in many works of great Mahayana teachers such as Arya Nagarjuna, Baba Viveka, Asanga, his brother Vasubandhu, and all others, right? We find also reasons, establishing Mahayana as Buddha's teaching or discourse. And then the next point that Geshe explained is how we are reborn in samsara over and again are basically due to two things, karma and afflictive emotions, isn't it? Of these two, afflictive emotions or karmas, afflictive emotions or the nyurmang, kleshas are the primary, And so within these afflictive emotions, they mention about, the power of craving, Tibetan called seba, craving. So as Geshe explained, that if, let's say, we are free of afflictive emotions, we could still have karma. Karma alone cannot produce rebirth in samsara. When karma is combined with afflictive emotions, right, this combo is creating the rebirths in karma, in samsara. Yeah, so in that sense, delusions or afflictive emotions or nyurmang in Tibetan are the primary. And so if as long as we have craving, seba, it always ends up creating karma, isn't it? Right? And so when the craving ends, then karma could be there alone, but it cannot by itself produce the rebirth. So we will stop there today, and we welcome your questions. First, we don't have any on our cyberspace, so then we can come back here, and there is a traveling mic somewhere, I'm sure. Would anybody like to start off? Yes, there.
So I wondered, what's the etymology of seba? Craving, you call it sepa.
Right.
What's the etymology in Tibetan?
Okay.
Like, give me a little more information on that.
Yeah.
Then I may have some other questions too.
그런 집안이 쉬어 있어 당보디 단데 세발라브로 와게. 세바이바 세바. 세바가 다시 신호로지다서 세발라는 가르려 거래서 다시. 세베 다시 신호로지다서. 다시 해봐. 다시.
다시 세야는 배나 가르사 메타바드스이다. 메타바스는 가르에서는 그 유일보 믿어 그 람산바 지주에서 메타바 시고서 디제 다시마 그 세그 도다시마 다시.
저 세바가 다시 손으로나서.
나.
세바가 다시 손으로나서.
Seba. Root meaning.
세바스도 니모 명이다. 라. 되자 니모 명의 세바시고 니모 세바.
이제 어디 디게 그 사다는 거 세대세 코라게 다시에 여러 와게. 다들 게임이다 와서.
세바스는 콜바 해말 지그와 시즌.
알레 셴바스.
시즌도 콜바 착시시어 콜 수고 콜 통은요. 콜 주관을 시스고.
알레 세스. Okay. So I think I was trying to ask for then Geshe goes somewhere else. So the etymology of the Tibetan word seba, which we translate craving, it has sense of clinging to something and seeking something. That's what it is, right? Clinging or seeking something.
Okay. And then, so what is the causes that?
What's the cause of that? Sebagi ane gyu karcha goresa.
라.
Sebagi gyu of the karcha goresa. 세바 중사가 중궁인데.
세바 중은 저다 가다 다 가서 너자게 지거로 다 너보다 제도서 문도 미도바 텐도 텐도 가서 this 가지 간다자 소 도바도 남도 마보 사나 누구 뭐 자저와
no so
어디다
ala ta tewar tone sebaki wor tungwe jo sebaki
지자 this 남도 되는 세바지 온 거라
no so tuba da cheva da miduba chebe seba miduba da chebe seba segurbe
사도 시다 시
miduba da midu la hawos ge miduba da chebe seba la go ra
아니
tungwe da chebe seba
the 시파스는 콜 해마셰
no
hem 거를 해거서는 나 누보다 텐도 신이 사고지야 가서 누보 텐도시 가서 미도보 텐도시 다 누보다 텐도 세야지로 야가 되어서 되니요 지 중도 상황이로
no so
그거 카드고 지와도로
yeah, I mean the causes can be many actually. As Geshe say, in all kinds of what we call the namdok, the conceptual thoughts, right, that we in our mind. So that could also give rise to craving, or even like say, we all, you can say there is a craving, seeking all that is good, right, happiness, everything, right. And then there is the craving in the sense of like you want to be free from all unwanted suffering and issues, So all of this can be causes of craving.
Same root.
Yeah.
Same root word.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. No.
About the abandoning the Dharma, the karma of abandoning the Dharma.
Yes.
Is it the same if one denies that certain words of the Buddha? As is it equally bad to deny that certain words or the words of the Buddha as reinterpreting the words of the Buddha, saying that they are not to be taken literally?
Yeah.
Like, for example, a lot of people nowadays don't accept the existence of the hell realms.
Mm-hmm.
They say that what he meant was just the state of mind of a human being.
Right.
It's not. So is this also a case of abandoning the Dharma?
Okay, yeah. Quran kan shu gen chobong ge le kwal kan shu go ro ba gen. Chobong ge le. Chobong le yo ba gen. Pen chobong ge le se di ene din kasata tanda di yo ga da ting sam pen pe ra sha ne mi mang bo shi ji ge ngan zo nyawa she ro ba gen. Nyawa se gen sa jang ne ke yo ma nyawa se ko sem ge ne da je re ro ba gen. Sem na tung ge mang bo ne nyawa re ma nyawa la ne de di kan la ta nyawa ne yo ba ji pa 가서 다게 빵도 와게 디 초봉 레차 그러면서
그래서
근데 냐와 요 말을 슬람나 와게 냐와 요 세고 와 냐와 세겐데 셈게 내다 라마다 냐와 세게 원에 파스 와게 계속 게 요마 딜라면 디 초봉 레차 그러 말해서 먼저 가서 그래
알다 초봉 레사나
냐와 요 말 슬람나 근데 년소som 요 말라는 초봉 레차 그러게
비지 사회지다 그 성지 초봉 레서 성지가 계속 쉬어 드리지로 제가 성지까지 열수도 요머슬라는데 충을리를 말해.
네. 똑바사나 게요 말와.
똑바사지 가셔 저거 뭐다.
다가 초봉 레스게 인지 민지 파지 가서 그래. 뭐 빵벌 그거 한 마고네.
한 마고는 충을리 시간에.
알레 배.
최소 쉬어.
최소 알레. 저 꿀론데 게시 못 찾도록.
최소 쉬어다. 그한 마고 쉬어도 충을리도 잘 말이야.
So the abandoning the karma, abandoning the dharma is very intentional, right? Karma. I mean, if you do something unknowingly, that may not constitute, right? It's intentionally. Let's say, for example, through the example, otherwise Geshe goes somewhere else. I say, let's say somebody says, okay, there is no bad migration. Let's say 3, right? So if you intentionally do that, because Buddha talked about that, so then that could constitute. But if you have doubt about it, you say, I don't know, they exist. That's not abandoning Dharma. You're just still not sure. You're not, right? So abandoning Dharma has this sense of belittling and, that's what it is, yeah. Denigrating, yes.
Thank you for your teaching, Geshe. My question is, does Sambhoga Kaya and the other Kayas, do they have inherent existence?
Sure. Kengi sungzhe nama de kadin chena shuru chi sa gen ruwa Morang kandi shwe di ta tagi de karsa longu sungpa rwa gen. Ta sanje ku shamba yo rwa gen. Sanje ku diga kanga lo ane rangshin ku dhruba rwa mare sa gen. Sanje ki ku diga chugu longu chugu diga rwa. Di rangwe ne dhruba rangshin ku dhruba rwa mare sa gen.
Ale rangshin dhruba yo mare da rangshin dhruba sa chisa rangshin dhruba sa chisa siyo marwa.
Di yun ane ku tabja chagu yo marwa gen.
Tobo takzam rigo da.
Yes, they don't exist intrinsically. The contention is that nothing exists intrinsically, including the Buddha's kayas, because we have to create causes to be able to achieve them, right? And they are dependently existent, yes. Sure. Yeah, they are permanent, yes. Continually
existent.
permanent, yes. Like in terms of continuity, they're permanent, but they are impermanent, right? I mean, the Sambhoga is impermanent body, which means it undergoes changes, but in terms of continuity, it exists forever. It never goes out of existence. That's called, permanent in the sense of continuity is permanent. Yeah. Yeah. Eternal. Yes, eternal. That's a good word. Yeah, eternal. Permanent in the sense of eternal. Yes. Thank you.
Sorry, one more question.
Sure,
What's
sure.
the difference between intrinsic and permanent or eternal?
Difference between intrinsic and?
Permanent or eternal?
Oh, okay, sure. Morang da di kanga chego sarwa ke tagi nganzo lungu di ene gyung takba sha rawa ge ta lungu ka so meb cha ra yo ma rawa ge chesa rango ne druba se da rawa ge then takba se ni di cheba kan de sha gore sa mara sam takba ina rango du de ni ge rawa ge
Rango dhruba sa ya deva tokpa takpa mayo wa kono chima mayo tamogo tsukdum dhru dokdo dhru shiyo dhire siyo ra dhire siyo maro da.
no so ta takba se tu kana
Takpa sa da ko keshi jirdo misi na takpa da yoro wa dhuma si nanga da takpa jirya mengi dhire yoro wa.
no so so when we talk about intrinsicness, intrinsic existence, we are thinking about something, hypothetically speaking, being able to exist, on its own without depending upon labels and imputations, right? And we couldn't find anything like that, right? Everything has been merely labeled, right? Imputed, designated, So that's why we say there is nothing intrinsically existent. Now the permanent do exist. Permanent is not non-existent, right? When we say something is permanent, we mean that that particular phenomenon does not disintegrate or change from moment to moment, right? It could exist eternally, right? But it's, it doesn't go changes. That's something. So there are a lot of things which are permanent. We say space is permanent, Yes. Mitaba takwa chade yoro sa dage. Mitaba de takwa chade yoro sa ta.
Mitaba takwa chade mara ini.
Ma chida mitaba dokwa sa yoro ge.
La.
Dokwa de sigo yoro ba. Mitaba dokwa de takwa chade yoro ge.
Mitaba kades.
Dokwa.
Dokwa sigo. Dokwa sa takwa chade. Ko ko mitaba se ko dokwa takwa chade sigo. Ko na sigo mara.
Right. So I mean the impermanence as we call concept, right, or the isolate. This other word you gave me to, right? So that's permanent. You're right.
We have one question online.
Yeah.
Does physical pain arise from grasping or ignorance the same way as mental suffering?
Sure. Okay. Trajet on a condition la robage. Tanzang anzu lugi tunge yo robage. And lugi tungen di ene kasata mari pada ene karsogorata tangzing ki yungo robesa but same ki tunge mango shibiji ta kwara yomba hagu de serwage. Lugi tunge de ke mari pada tangzing ki ene tangzing ne yungo robesa.
Oh, lugi tunge de yungo jawa me maro.
So ta karso ko the juzo de mari bacha ine da che gi kyu yang shamba yuso gorwa
da ko lui dunge jungse hin ge jarwa tibo za dunge de ka de du ga hin za sem shegra
so from Buddhist point of view, like the deep down, the real cause of even physical pain is ignorance and grasping, you know. But then at other level, they may have other causes creating the pain, you know. She's coming here.
Craving is caused from the delusions, and the delusions are caused from the belief in the self-existent self. Is that correct?
Say it again. Craving is the cause of the
Is
delusion.
caused by the delusion.
Yes.
And delusions are caused by a belief in a self-existent person.
Kurang disiguro. Tatagi seba yoro bagi.
La.
Seba yoro seba. Seba di nyumon bagi kyuchen kiye bache bagi. And nyumon dige te kangalo ta kasawra ta thadu zembegi ta tangjin sokol mari ba yoro bagi. Di kiye bache dinde sama digo yoro basa.
Rita nyimu saru dangzi do yin siguro di siguro.
Seba di nyumo gi kiye bache sam digo na.
La.
Seba
Seba
kurang-
di nyimu kiasa na
Ta seba di ne mari bagi kiye mari.
Seba da nyimu ni jigwar da.
No.
Seba sana da nyimu sana jigwar da.
Ine ta ko keje de mari ba shan digo na.
La.
Seba keje de mari ba shan digo.
Seba di za di mari ba yin sana jigwar.
So Geshe said, craving is a particular kind of delusion, isn't it? Itself is a delusion. But of course, it is rooted in ignorance, you know. Right? It's from ignorance, cravings coming up. But craving itself is a delusion. Yeah. Right? There are many delusions, right? So we cannot say a delusion is causing it in a sense. Yeah.
So still the cause is belief in the self-existent
Yes,
person.
yes, that's right. Yes, that's good. Yeah. And the Seba said the Yala Jungi Nangjing Seba Jalgo was
Seba saya di yana jingi seba saya di da. Jidang doja korang doja nyimu mele seba siguro.
Chidan Ale the Tunji Chadway.
La.
Chidan Sheb and Yomon the Seba like the Tunji Chadway.
Jidang nyimu da seba saya sadru sida jigware.
Tanda Chiwache. And then that under the shade they again Yala Jungi and Seba the Shigo,
Di
Chidan
di
Yosho.
ina seba si. Thoma mari ba niba di.
Kubal number Chuba Seba.
That give us seba siya yo. Di seba di nyimu doja hiyo di. Doja.
That they share digging Seba said the Yala Jungi and Seba.
La.
They another shade they Seba the Yala Jungi and Seba the Rebecca.
Danda di ngando le di nyimu seba si di seba di yana jungi na seba siguro.
Yes, because I'm double checking, you know. So in the 12 links of interdependent origination or chain of that, right? So we have called a chain called craving, right? I think I think it's the number 10th on my count, right? So that is yes. And itself is a delusion, but it is also a form of attachment, you know, craving is, yeah. Krishna.
We have another
12 links of interdependent origin. It's a 10th link. Huh? Oh, yes, yes. Oh, I see. I look at this in the Siba colonna again. Then they allow Junior you again. Then they allow Junior and Seba the Chundin the Kagres.
Seba di seba siya di hiyo. Le di hiyo.
But then I get remove you again. Remove the Karmo Miko Dasu Jomar again.
La.
Then they allow you remove here again. Remain all your more Miko Dasu Dimarawa. Yala Junior again, remove Chico, then they allow you. Then Seba remove the career, a 7 Chundin remove it.
Seba siya the career na. George, that thing came or something.
Yeah, Geshe couldn't recall, right, that symbol in the, he couldn't, yeah, it may be there, yeah. I can't, yeah, it could be, yeah. I couldn't see it from here. Sorry, yeah. Or can you, are you able to identify, if you look at the map, looks like there's Tanka de Duksho. Yeah, can you look at that, yeah, because I can't see from here.
That this is chat siguro. Doja chat siguro. Jina nimu tudo siguro.
No.
This chat songor. Doja alsina.
That this Seba did Kundor Chagaruage. Yeah, Geshe said, you know, I mean, of course, the three main poisons are inside. We have a rooster, that represents the attachment in general. So craving is a part of attachment, But other than that, he doesn't recall if there's a particular one there. Yeah, sure.
Can Geshe explain what a naga is?
Okay, luce de karishironas again.
나
The dishes nasa luce de karishironas.
무슨 그걸 미스야지 명지로 두루 심정이 깨가지고 내지 개발제를 넣었어.
That look again, look better shine or look carrying the
그래서 그때 미스는 가서 많이 통과해야 되지 미스거라. 그 미스는다 그 여거랑 그 렉도 찍을이야. 그러나 거기서 튕기기 렉도 찍 좋았음지죠. 될 넣었어라.
남지 가서 자주 와로 열서로 가요.
다 가서 가요. 여기야. 대지도 자주 열서로 자주 너 멤버가 가나 얘기를 가서 가요.
얘네다 그 수다마를 유수로. 주그를 루용 쳐나.
라.
루 주그
주도 뭐 이제 레스거다.
남지 쓰도 와.
네.
I'm just trying to get clear process because Geshe said, well, it's just like we call humans like humans, so it is a name of a kind of a being. He said, yeah, that doesn't work, Geshe. You have to give me some example. Well, I mean, when we talk about different types of sentient beings, nagas is a Sanskrit word, Tibetan called lu, is included as part of animals, So we think there is a naga world, and often people think it is a subterranean underneath the ocean, but Geshe says the look can be on the surface too. It doesn't have to be under the ocean, and it can take different forms. Sometimes some of these nagas appear in the form of snakes as well. So at least I push in so we get little example here. Any more there? Yeah. No, you can ask that question and then come here, yeah.
Is craving rooted in biological survival, where an organism seeks certain needs
Sure.
for its survival?
Okay.
Is it psychologically overgeneralized to wants and desires?
Tanda kien seba seisho rwage,
나
seba seisho rwage, yana joine seba yubage. Di ene nganzo ina mirawa jina soso choyal sok marwage. Choyal kunge jenji chade rwe soda.
그래지.
Ben mi ina mi chokoro bage.
그래.
Mi kiewa mi chokwaili ya di seba seisho di inji mi kwayaji marwe sogorge. Chotuya.
시바스 도자 미사 도자 거야. 되게 거야 말. 되 다시모스 미여라. 시발 미쳐야 도자 거야 말.
Mata 말 ngaraza benake 다디 가서 어디 코레 밀 차시는 세바 메나게 가서 소토에 여러게. 다음 영어를 싱 말어. 세바 메는 개발된 싱 말어게.
나
세바 메나게 개와 관련 두고 말어게.
저한테 더 말이 다 시바면은 다시모스 그거
어디다로
딩사르다. 그 딩사로.
만데 다 코레 나르잖아. 그응에로 차도 거로.
그래 나 진짜 시바 민게스 비자 요마라.
이네다 소야로 고대행에로 차고.
저야 다 거기서 다 점놓고 젠데 시기제다.
So, yeah. Because I was trying to get a clear answer possible because Geshe takes somewhere else again. Well, Geshe said we don't need craving in order to survive. Then he goes into arahat and all of that. But Geshe, we are in samsara still, so can you talk to the people here in the samsara we are? So in samsara, I mean, we cannot think of, if we are samsaric being, we cannot think of someone with no craving, In that sense, craving is part of life and maybe it's a little bit helpful to exist or something. But he said it's better not to have it because then, there are rebirths with no craving. So Geshe takes into somewhere, yeah. Okay, yeah, we can come back here. 지금 샵된 데가 있고요. 점주도 해.
Vimuktisana and Haribhadra, there's this section here about the Vimuktisana and Haribhadra. Sounds like they also believe that Hinayanists realize the selflessness of phenomena. On page 139,
Right.
the last on the bottom of page
Yes.
139,
Yes.
the next to the last sentence says,
Yes, yes.
semicolon, this is taken literally by both Vimuktisana and Haribhadra.
Yes.
And it seems to refer to the previous, the first part of the question, which reads, in the context of this Pali objection, states that the sublime disciples and self-realized ones realize the selfness of phenomena. And this is taken literally by both Vimuktisena and Haribhadra. So it seems that they also accept that.
Oh, you
but
mean the passage that says, since the basic field of reality indivisible, right?
Yes,
Right, right. Yeah,
but
yeah.
after that, the next sentence,
In the context of dispelling
yes.
objections, states that the sublime disciples realize, self-realized ones realize selflessness of phenomena. This is taken literally by
both
Vimuktisena and
Vimuktisena and Haribhadra. And
Yes.
it sounds like they also accept that. That they sounds like they accept that.
they accept, yes, the selflessness of phenomena realized.
That,
right?
that it's realized. Yeah, but they're Svatantrikas.
What?
They're Svatantrikas.
Oh, I see.
How could, yeah, we heard it
I see.
only Prasangikas.
Oh,
Maybe I'm reading it
Okay,
incorrectly.
okay,
Maybe
okay,
that's not
right,
what it means.
Right,
I don't know.
right. Okay, so first thing is, yeah, I was going to do this, I was thinking, what is this basic field of reality? And because I was trying to listen to Geshe very carefully when he reads, right, so I avoid this. This I would translate a little differently. What this means is that in terms of the sphere of emptiness, everything is same. That's what it means, not right. That's what they're talking about here. And the Quran again, the Shungdi nal this again. Tanda chewing nal again. And it's somewhat rochik by the light or again, yen me res again. Chewing tongbe nal thumbs yen me relabroagi dagi. Chene di wadelia and then Nyerani gi and church tame toba again. The ene karsagore tanda Robin Singer Sangoda digi touching killinger state again.
Ma kuzoge the rig kadula in the rig kadu shekasi. Chidashina, young Yiran Domo, Tony Domo, the Ishi or the rig the Jolum said, the rig here kadula, Yiran Tony Domo, Yoga shekasi.
Rishi was the church tomato about the Shesha level again. That the Lomen Singer Sangoda, Lomen did the Daka, Vimuktisena Nigi, touching about killing Shalav again. Corangulate or did the your own as a pena. Lomen Singer Sangoda Dini, Umar Ranguba Marvesa again. So they did could see Quara some other. When you did touching about killing and color, and Yende down Casa.
This or that. So the Yindu. Don't talk the Nisha and the Sigas Ranju Gaga, Niran, are teaching show in the Massa, don't you talk a shagor, Niran, don't you talk the Nisha or
Condeskin.
Niran Papas and Nandi. Don't you talk the Nisha or Ranju Lucina? Teaching Lucina, 10 you Lucina, don't you talk a shagor.
Alone. Alice is Honani and the don't you talk a shade?
You don't talk a shagor.
Shade Shanging, Ranguba de Roda.
The
Lobe Singer, someone in Yende, Church Tomato, Shady singing, Ranguba Shadow.
Double your days were Gagato, Marta. 10 years in the Papa, Yiran Papa Gagato, Siguro.
I don't.
Singers of course in Hindu Papa does they don't get your days were.
Papa in top of Chabumar.
Chavamar. Hindu Papa, Girata, don't you know Chavamar?
It's in the Lobe Singer, some wish about did Lagor again. Realized the selfness of phenomenon.
Low singers of Shiba, you know, don't you talk about you about the low singers of killing do ceremony. Low singers of you know, don't you talk about killing or so.
I think this is what Geshe-la's explanation coming out here. The way here, yes, Haribhadra is Savatantric Madhyamigans, So there are those, I think, seems like two groups within Savatantric Madhyamigans who accept that Sharvakas and Patika Buddhas, could realize emptiness, and then those who seems like not accept that one. There's two, like they said, for example, Prasangika said that Sharvakas and Patika Buddhas, all of them must realize emptiness, right, to get to their destination, right? There's a provision there. But Savatantric Madhyamika, something like Haribhadra, they said it is possible that there are those who realize it, but they're not saying that every one of them must realize emptiness, right? That's what Geshe is saying. Yeah.
I think the Haribhadra accept that.
Yes,
because this could be read entirely different. This, in that sentence, the sentence, this refers to what it says in the ornament. that apprehending an object as truly existent is a cognitive obscuration.
Mhm.
That this is what it refers, and this of course accepted by Haribhadra
Mhm.
and Vimuktisena. See, so that means that actually they don't accept that. They accept that apprehending an object as truly existent is a cognitive obscuration, and self-realizes and Shravakas don't need to realize that.
Okay,
It's
so
too
this one
complicated.
you're referring it to.
In the last this, there's a word this. Okay, next to the last sentence says this.
This is taken, yeah. So
Okay,
this,
what is this? Does this refer to? And I'm thinking that actually it refers to the, okay, right after the quote from the ornament, it says this shows that apprehending an object as truly existent is a cognitive obscuration, not an afflictive obscuration. So that doesn't have to be realized by Shravakas, because it's a cognitive obscuration. They don't realize that.
Oh, okay.
So which means that they actually don't accept that. They don't accept that that the Shravakas need to realize.
It's
Too
hard.
complicated.
Geshe across the text already, so I don't know how to refer to that one as per something. So, okay, let me. Okay. Right. I did kuch shun tho kena. Mare di re. Ma di do de ma de chik de ma de pigi patient attack ta ma di pigi khan la bro wa chik tru lo ke gi de se kyung mare. Ma de de lo do ko la di nyomo de se wa an nyomo da shi je chi ba ni de ta wa som ge lam ge de jong di re mi do di khang ma de lo do ngo do jing ge chis do the concept of apprehended objects are really increased since the apprehending subjects 어디 가 어디 구셔 나왔다 갈 것이다. 어디 위무드 세나기 데이터에 가 가지고 올라오다. 저기 다음에 또 와서 쉐이크시고. 네네네. 어디 알게 됐던 것도 살아. In the qual land document. Already. Alle de tony ton shiri bantu mar sorda. De shiri me share Tenzin de shiri me shares na tony to ba de shiri bantu mar sorda. Bantu mar sorda. Alle shiri chudo ya mar wore. Can this sense of it? That's as he's telling me. I hope you should listen because he said very beautiful. I'm translating Tibetan. Tibetan is the really weirdest thing ever in my life. That would be the thing. Again, they geldash tongo is a walk. Okay. Tanda de shun then again chabe de again the kongam chabe. Do we have a time? That seems very important. Okay, I'm going to get up and let Geshe open that because if I say things, he's explaining my word. That's not right because it's a text. And then we will. This is the last one. In Chinese, then I seek the name. Laro and document.
tanda di tsik na yungu mo kaza ko tsik ja de dosara de ko da thongxie ni xie ta da chi de ka zi di na zao yo ma ko ro xie wo ro
then gang see the gang see the Geshe Gyeltsen that the thing that was
Condition.
Tanda Kawashano in Sabi.
Shaya the day share that didn't they both share that they
Indeed, on the wagon.
they might lay money.
No.
They curse big thought that the Ratuga did that Zawatigan Hillaman. They couldn't Kadu.
아니 런주바이 미찬이 뭘 아니 루베싱이 상배 아니 여러분 주기 다음에 또 이거 숨샷 여러분 주기 다음에 또 이거 아니 땡큐 위토만 많이 키지 말어 베스 땡큐 위토만 많이 키지 이마이나 루베싱이 상배 런주바로 와스 이제 컨디션 그래서 그래
아이 대지가 로스가 서뭐 그때 런주바 가자 내 여러 돈도 뭐 요새 라버마도 여러 파가 돈도 뭐 캡서 여 라요 말이야
데도 되게 괜히 숨으로 와 이게 되게 세션 나로 와 이걸로 파 슈차를 저 슈차는 다시 무슨 당 거를 니 이모 이나서 봐. 니 이모 이나 강라 아니 되게 신사 근데 인지 교디나를 내가 저 비나는 그냥 그디 뭐 또 인지 교디나라 강도 아니 추기 단지 셔 봐. 추기 단지 아니 시리 뭐디 아니 르면서 뭐 쉬고 알았으니 숨샤스. 이니 나게 말을 왜스. 추기 단지 디 시리디 되나? 봐. 그래서 뭐 쉬나? 추기 단지 디 시리디 되게는 르면서 상배. 아니 여러분 추기 다음에 또 이거 컨디션 걔나 말을 왜스.
네 말이지. 니랑 셔이 담에도 니랑 히를 뽕쓰고 말다. 셔이 담에도 히를 뽕고 말아. 니랑 이제 셔이 담에도 뭐 요쓰고 말다. 니랑 히를 뽕아 요 짠쓰고 말. 너서서 뭐 셔이 담에도 뭐 요쓰고 말다. 히를 뽕아 요쓰고 말다. 이게 말아. 이게 와요 말이야. 셔이 담에도 와서 히를 뽕고 말아 아니.
Okay, so I couldn't find it even Rosny.
La.
I will try. Yeah, what Kishla said, maybe that might solve the issue, hopefully. So this is what I understood with the help of Geshe Haram Bakunsha. We said there. So earlier it said right grasping at the self. Is that self phenomena is a cognitive obscuration, right? And Haribhadra, is Savatandaka Madhyamigan, and realizing the selfness of phenomena, right, looks like then the Sharvakas and Pratika Buddhas, right? They're dealing with cognitive obscuration. That's how it came, right? Geshe said, no, it doesn't mean that. The standpoint is that the Sharvakas and Pratika Buddhas do realize selfness of phenomena, but it does not translate to say they are going to uproot the cognitive obscuration. That's not. Okay. Hopefully that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for all the help. So that's solved. Now we have some prayer requests, I think. Yes.
There too many jamjishing. Lani sedan demba. Sedan demba. Tanda Europe, Sweden la shibe. John Ching sarwa. Khazankini tanda di churiduji. Nimana gonzo sopedi yushiber khoran leba naza ikembe khaji nebarisha. Ani tus naza dus dugurisha. Ani khaji khongi shedu khaza. Nishisunda yuan shedu. Ani tungmena nas shuyata. Teni Su khaza sedan demba. Su Ajax Lewis sarwa khazi tribjin ki chene tribjin chene ani pagi modra tangela ani dos hop kan ya tribjin chene ekembe ani modra dab khamba tindichan pai modra da khaji neba chada shasa ani gol ya modra do de gol kine khaji ani tapsi shuchamo chungshasa and nebarshan and kongichudu tungmanarunas. Prayer requests we have today for those who are still with us include prayers for Sue Iax Lewis, who had a stroke while driving and crashed into a building and has experienced a severe head injury because of that. She's currently in the hospital in the UK, so please keep Sue Iax Lewis in your prayers and dedications, along with continued prayers for John Jing, who is in Sweden and experiencing very difficult circumstances regarding illness, a brain illness. So please keep John Jing in your prayers and dedications as well, along with Sue and John. May all other sentient beings be free from all obstacles, hardship, and negative karma. May their wishes and prayers be fulfilled. May they be guided by the blessings of the three jewels, and may they experience everlasting peace and happiness.
Om Namo Bhagavate Begaze Guru Bendu ya Tabaranza ya Tadagada ya Arahade Samya Sambuddha ya Tet Om Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Ranza Samukade So Om Namo Begaze Begaze Bhagavatam Begaze Begaze Guru Bendu ya Tabaranza ya Tadagada ya Arahade Samya Sambuddha ya Tet Om Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samukade So Ha Gyawa De Nyudo Da Membe Yevon Dojo Ne Dowa Chijam De Sala Guba Show page 3. Lord Jazu Udon Bega De Gesan Ponwe Judo Memba Shen Tenba Zinla Wando Chanyen Chugun Jola So De page 5 Mawan Dame Gunyen Donga De Gari Jongso Nyenda Seza Jangwen Jawa Nyewa Yapseje Dangson Tense Mawe Shiba Tenzin Jewe Yingwo Jebe Je Sheje Nigun Changju Tende Longdo Damje Bewe Beyen Je Deja Yazu Gundo Shabde Tesan Gongdang Cheje Zombe Je Yongzo Yure Tube Nyake Longri Dejen Neve Bedemba Tuden Kanri Dabo Shabde Donang Gongmen Zeba Namda Gun Dendan Rove Pende Jove Pendo Jumin Chebe Tenle Je Kesan Duje Dendo Shabde Chije Lamen Toje Melanda Kesan Duje Dendan Zame Shozon Tojo Jedo Domba Ye Jeda Membe Du Lindu Sho page 9. Ramjan Jingen Gombo Seba Men Zodo Namje Geyun Joma Sho Sozo Seye Lazo Tam Tade Mishi Choge Mudo So Tuden Jedam Losan Jawa Ye Shiro Tenban Zembe Beyu Tade Duje Gyongwe Shenyen Cho Yangde Ninje Gombo Sowa Jiden Sungwe Chana Bemen Denbe Ansawa Soso Tawa Namda Sudin Yangda Lamba Ye Losan Jenden Bedo Shabden Tujon Gyaltsen Nunzin Yangbe Shin Samjo Namje Sanzin Jumbe Bonjon Shela Sunjo Debe De Denbe Ngada Chenbo Shabde Chebe Donga Gowa Bojo De Chebe Rilan Siwe Bangda Chebe Dunden Leshe Kedo Shenyin Chenbo Shabden Sho Kebe Langdo Kushin Zoda Chebe Tara Nyezo Rangsa Je Sangbe Duje Regon Yishe Shumden Shenyin Chenbo Shabden Sho Tesan Rulan Jobe Dende Menju Daji Sangbe Sijin Ba Labjin Zilin Dende Sende Shenyin Chenbo Shabden Sho Chuzon Gyawa Seje Chela Tuden Tamjin Songben Sonan Je Daja Lasan Yeda Memben Dungu Lundu Sho Changju Simjo Rinpo Che Maje Bana Jeju Je Jeva Nyamba Kone Gondo Pewa Sho Tongni Dawa Rinpoche Maje Bana Kone Gondo Pewa Sho Sa Shi Beijing Joshi Medo Zhang Rira Lingxi Ninde Genba Sangye Shindo Mede Viwa Dogen Nanda Xinla Jeba Sho Kangri Rawe Gorwe Xinganzo Pendan Dewa Mali Jove Jere Se Wang Tenzin Dorjee Shawe Sede Bado Denjo Je Yedang Guru Rana Mande Niyang Daya Min Yewa Gundo Yangda Lama Dang Deme Chöje Bela Longje Je Sada Lamje Yunde Doje Jange Goba Nyudo Jo